If you are a United States citizen, a green card holder, or someone waiting for immigration approval, you may have seen alarming headlines recently about new rules affecting green card holders this February. Maybe you saw a video title or a social media post that made your heart race. Maybe you thought, "Am I in danger? Could I lose my status? What is happening?" I want you to take a deep breath right now, because my goal in this video is not to scare you. My goal is to explain, calmly and clearly, what is actually happening, who is affected, and most importantly, who is not affected. My name is Alex, and I make these videos to help people like you understand immigration news without the panic, without the rumors, and without the confusion. I am not here to alarm you. I am here to give you the truth in plain language so you can feel informed, prepared, and calm. So let's take our time, go through this step by step, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly what is real and what is not. Before we begin, I want to make something very clear. I am not an immigration attorney. I am not a government official. I am not affiliated with USCIS, the Department of Homeland Security, or any federal agency. What I share in this video is information only, explained in simple terms for educational purposes. This is not legal advice. If you have a specific situation or concern about your immigration status, I always encourage you to speak with a qualified immigration lawyer who can review your personal case. My job here is simply to help you understand what is happening in the immigration world right now so you can make informed decisions without fear or confusion. So let's talk about what is actually happening this February. You may have heard phrases like new rules for green card holders, stricter enforcement, or deportation risks. These headlines are designed to grab attention, and unfortunately, they often create fear without providing context. The truth is that there are no brand new laws that suddenly took effect in February that fundamentally changed the rights of lawful permanent residents. What is happening is a continuation of existing immigration enforcement policies, some of which have been clarified or emphasized by the current administration. But the core rules about green card holders have not changed overnight. Let me explain what this actually means for you. Green card holders, also known as lawful permanent residents, have had the same basic responsibilities and protections for many years. You are required to maintain your permanent residence in the United States. You are required to obey all laws. You are required to file taxes. You are not supposed to abandon your residency by living outside the country for extended periods without proper documentation. These are not new rules. These have always been the expectations. What has changed in recent months is the level of enforcement and the attention being paid to certain situations that were always technically problematic, but may not have been prioritized in the past. This does not mean that millions of green card holders are suddenly at risk. It means that the government is focusing more carefully on cases involving serious issues like fraud, criminal activity, or clear abandonment of residency. Let me be very clear about who is actually affected by these enforcement priorities. If you are a green card holder who obtained your status legally, who lives in the United States, who has not committed serious crimes, and who has been honest in all your immigration processes, you are not the target of these actions. The overwhelming majority of green card holders fall into this category. You go to work, you pay your bills, you raise your family, you follow the rules, and you are not in danger. The people who are being looked at more closely are those who may have committed immigration fraud when applying for their green card, those who have been convicted of serious crimes, those who have been living outside the United States for long periods and claiming they still reside here, or those who have misrepresented information to immigration authorities. These situations have always been grounds for potential loss of status, but enforcement is now more visible and more active. Now I want to address some of the most common myths and fears I have seen circulating online, because misinformation spreads faster than truth, and I know many of you are worried. Myth number 1, All green card holders will be required to reapply or re-interview this year. This is false. There is no mass rescreening program for existing green card holders who obtained their status properly. Myth number 2. If you travel outside the United States, you will automatically lose your green card. This is also false. Green card holders can and do travel internationally. What matters is that you do not abandon your permanent residence. Short trips, vacations, even longer visits with proper re-entry permits are all allowed. The problem arises when someone lives abroad for years, does not maintain a home or ties in the United States, and then tries to claim they are still a permanent resident. That is abandonment, and it has always been a risk. Myth number 3. Minor mistakes on old immigration paperwork will result in deportation. This is not accurate for the vast majority of people. Immigration authorities distinguish between innocent mistakes and intentional fraud. If you made a small error years ago, perhaps a wrong date or a misunderstood question, and it was not material to your approval, this is not the same as lying about your identity or your criminal history. Context matters. Evidence matters, and decisions are not made lightly. Myth number 4. Naturalized citizens can lose their citizenship easily. This is perhaps the most frightening rumor I have heard, and I want to address it directly. United States citizenship, once granted, is extremely difficult to revoke. Denaturalization, which is the legal process of stripping someone of their citizenship, is rare and applies only in cases of serious fraud or misrepresentation during the naturalization process, or in cases involving terrorism or threats to national security. If you became a citizen honestly, if you told the truth during your interview, if you met all the requirements, your citizenship is secure. The government cannot simply take it away because of a policy change or because you made a minor mistake years ago. Let me take a moment here to talk about the difference between being a naturalized citizen and being a green card holder, because I know some of you may be confused about your own status. If you went through the naturalization process, took the oath of allegiance, and received a certificate of naturalization or a United States passport, you are a United States citizen. You have the same rights and protections as someone born in this country. You can vote, you can run for most public offices, and you cannot be deported. The only exception, as I mentioned, is denaturalization in cases of proven fraud during the citizenship process, and even then, it requires a court process with evidence and the opportunity to defend yourself. This is not something that happens quickly or quietly. If you are a green card holder, you are a lawful permanent resident, but you are not yet a citizen. You have many rights, including the right to live and work in the United States indefinitely, but you do not have all the protections of citizenship. You can lose your green card under certain circumstances, such as committing certain crimes, abandoning your residency, or if it is discovered that you obtained it through fraud. But again, these are serious situations that involve legal processes, not arbitrary decisions. Now let's talk about what has actually been emphasized in recent enforcement actions, because I want you to understand the reality, not the fear. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, and USCIS have stated that they are prioritizing individuals who pose a threat to public safety or national security. This includes people with serious criminal convictions, people involved in gang activity, people who have committed fraud in the immigration system, and people who have repeatedly violated immigration laws. If you do not fall into any of these categories, you are not a priority. Does this mean that only people in these categories will ever be stopped or questioned? No. Immigration enforcement is complex, and sometimes people are caught up in operations that were targeting others. But the stated focus is on serious cases, not on everyday families and workers. For green card holders specifically, the areas of concern that have been highlighted include time spent outside the United States, criminal history, and the accuracy of information provided during the green card application process. Let me break these down, one by one. Time outside the United States matters because your green card is for permanent residence, meaning you intend to make the United States your home. If you spend 6 months or more outside the country in a single trip, you may be questioned when you return. If you spend more than a year outside the country without a re-entry permit, you may be considered to have abandoned your residency. This is not new. The rule has always been that green card holders should not be absent from the United States for extended periods. If you need to travel for work, for family emergencies, or for other legitimate reasons, you can apply for a re-entry permit before you leave, which allows you to stay abroad for up to 2 years without losing your status. This is a normal process, and it is available to anyone who qualifies. Criminal history is another factor, and this is where I see a lot of confusion. Not all crimes will result in losing your green card. Immigration law categorizes certain offenses as deportable or inadmissible, and these are usually serious crimes such as drug trafficking, fraud involving more than $10,000, domestic violence, firearms offenses or crimes of moral turpitude. Minor offenses, traffic violations, or old convictions that did not result in jail time are typically not grounds for removal. But if you have been arrested or convicted of anything, even something you think is minor, it is worth speaking to an immigration attorney to understand whether it could affect your status. I want to be honest with you. Immigration law is complicated, and what seems small to you might be treated differently by immigration authorities. Getting advice is always better than assuming. The third area is the accuracy of your original green card application. If you applied for a green card through marriage, through employment, through family sponsorship, or through any other pathway, you were required to provide truthful information. If you lied about your identity, your criminal history, your marital status, or any other material fact, that is fraud, and it can be grounds for revoking your green card even years later. But if you made an honest mistake, if you misunderstood a question, or if something changed after you applied and you reported it properly, that is different. Immigration authorities are looking for intentional deception, not for people who made innocent errors. So what should you actually do if you are a green card holder watching this video? First, take a breath. If you have been living in the United States, following the law, and you obtained your green card honestly, you do not need to panic. Continue living your life. Continue working, paying taxes, and being a contributing member of your community. Second, make sure your immigration documents are up to date and kept in a safe place. This includes your green card, your passport, any travel documents, and records of your time in the United States, such as leases, utility bills, and employment records. If you ever need to prove that you have maintained your residency, these documents will be helpful. Third, if you plan to travel outside the United States, be mindful of how long you will be gone. If you know you will be abroad for more than 6 months, consider applying for a re-entry permit before you leave. This is a simple process that protects your status. Fourth, if you have any criminal issues in your past, even if they seem minor, talk to an immigration attorney. Do not assume that because you are not deported immediately after a conviction that you are safe forever. Immigration consequences can come up later, especially if you apply for citizenship or if you travel and return. Fifth, if you are eligible for citizenship and you have been thinking about applying, now may be a good time to start that process. Citizenship gives you more security and more rights than a green card. It does not mean you are in immediate danger if you stay as a green card holder, but if you qualify and you want that extra protection, it is worth considering. And finally, stay informed, but be careful about your sources. Not every headline is true. Not every social media post is accurate. Verify information from official sources like USCIS.gov, from reputable immigration attorneys, or from trusted immigration advocacy organizations. Now let me talk about the broader immigration situation right now, because I know many of you are also waiting for green cards, waiting for visa approvals, or waiting for interviews. The truth is that the immigration system is slow. It has been slow for years. Processing times are long. Backlogs are significant. This is frustrating, I know. You submit your application, you wait months or even years, and you hear nothing. This is normal, unfortunately. It does not mean your case is in trouble. It does not mean you have been forgotten. It means the system is overwhelmed. USCIS has millions of pending cases. They are working through them, but it takes time. If your case is within the normal processing time for your category, there is usually no reason to worry. You can check processing times on the USCIS website by entering your receipt number. If your case is outside normal processing times, you can submit an inquiry, but in most cases, the answer will be to keep waiting. I also want to address those of you who are waiting for interview appointments. Many people have been scheduled, then rescheduled, then scheduled again. This is happening across the country. Offices are understaffed. Policies are shifting. It is not a reflection on you or your case. If your interview is rescheduled, you will receive a new notice. Follow the instructions, bring all required documents, and be patient. I know patience is hard when your future is on the line, but it is the reality of the system right now. If you are waiting for a decision after your interview, the same advice applies. Unless you receive a denial or a request for more evidence, assume that your case is still being processed. Silence does not mean rejection. It usually just means waiting. For those of you who are concerned about traveling while your application is pending, this depends on your status. If you have a pending green card application and you leave the United States without advance parole, your application may be considered abandoned. If you have advance parole or a valid visa that allows re-entry, you can travel, but always carry your documents and be prepared to explain your situation at the border. If you are unsure, ask your attorney before you book a trip. It is better to delay a vacation than to risk your immigration case. Now, I want to take a moment to speak to the emotional side of all of this, because I know that immigration is not just about paperwork and laws. It is about your life, your family, your dreams, and your sense of safety. Waiting for immigration decisions is stressful. Reading alarming headlines is frightening. Feeling like your status could be taken away at any moment is exhausting. I want you to know that these feelings are valid. You are not overreacting. The immigration system is complicated and often unclear, and it is natural to feel anxious. But I also want you to know that fear is often based on worst-case scenarios that do not apply to most people. Yes, there are people who lose their status. Yes, there are people who face deportation. But those cases almost always involve serious issues that have been building for a long time. They are not random. They are not sudden. And they are not the norm. If you are doing everything right, if you are honest, if you are following the rules, the chances that something terrible will happen to you are very low. That does not mean you should ignore the rules or assume nothing can go wrong. It means you should stay informed, stay prepared, and not let fear control your life. You deserve to live with dignity and peace of mind. You deserve to know that your hard work and your honesty matter. And they do. The immigration system is not perfect, but it is also not designed to trap or trick good people. It is designed to protect the country while also allowing people to build lives here. Sometimes it feels like the system is working against you, but in most cases it is just slow, not hostile. Let me also say this to those of you who are United States citizens, whether you were born here or you naturalized. Some of you are watching this video because you are worried about your spouse, your parents, your children, or your friends who have green cards. You want to know if they are safe. You want to know if you should be worried. The answer is that you should be informed, but you do not need to panic on their behalf. If your loved one obtained their status legally, if they are living here and following the law, they are most likely fine. Encourage them to keep their documents organized, to stay informed, and to seek legal help if anything comes up. but do not let fear damage your peace or your relationships. Support them, reassure them, and trust that the process, while imperfect, is structured and not random. So let me bring all of this together and summarize what you really need to know. There are no brand new laws this February that suddenly put all green card holders at risk. What is happening is increased enforcement of existing rules, focused primarily on people with serious criminal issues or fraud in their immigration history. The vast majority of green card holders are not affected. If you obtained your status legally, if you live in the United States, if you follow the laws, and if you are honest, you are not in danger. Travel is still allowed, but be mindful of how long you are gone and make sure you maintain your residency. If you have any criminal history or any concerns about your original application, talk to an immigration attorney. Do not guess, do not assume, get professional advice. If you are eligible for citizenship, consider applying. It is not required, but it does provide more security. If you are waiting for an immigration decision, be patient. The system is slow, but slow does not mean denied. Keep your documents organized, stay informed from reliable sources, and do not let sensational headlines control your emotions. Remember that immigration law is complex, and even immigration officers and attorneys sometimes disagree on interpretations. What matters is that you act in good faith, that you are honest, and that you seek help when you need it. I want to end this video by reminding you that you are not alone. Millions of people in this country are navigating the same system, facing the same uncertainties, and feeling the same fears. The immigration journey is not easy, but it is also not impossible. People become citizens every day. People get their green cards every day. People reunite with their families every day. The system works, even when it feels like it does not. And you are part of that system, moving forward one step at a time. Stay informed, stay calm, and trust that your honesty and your effort will be recognized. If this video helped you understand the situation more clearly, I would be grateful if you would let me know in the comments. Share your thoughts, your questions, or your own experiences. This channel exists to help people like you, and your feedback helps me know what topics to cover next. If you found this information useful, consider staying connected so you can stay informed about immigration news without the panic and without the confusion. I will continue to break down these topics in a way that is calm, clear, and honest. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your concerns. Please take care of yourself, take care of your family, and remember that knowledge is power. The more you understand, the less you have to fear. You are going to be okay. Stay strong, stay informed, and I will see you in the next video.